The first sign that humanity was no longer alone did not come from telescopes, satellites, or deep space listening stations. It came from the Atlantic Ocean. At 4:12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, every ship traveling between North America and Europe lost contact at the exact same moment.
Cargo vessels.
Cruise liners. Fishing boats. Military escorts. Gone. No distress calls.
No explosions. No storm warnings.
1 second the radar systems were alive with signals, and the next second the Atlantic looked like an empty black void. Inside the Pentagon, alarm screamed across secure communication channels. Confirmed signal failure. Negative, sir. It's not a failure. Then what is it? They're missing. Admiral Victor Hayes stared at the giant digital map projected across the wall. Hundreds of green icons had vanished. Not damaged. Not drifting. Erased. Within minutes, NATO forces moved to high alert. Fighter jets launched from air bases across the eastern United States. Satellites pivoted toward the Atlantic. Then the ocean moved. At first, scientists believed it was an earthquake. Waves rose in perfect circular patterns nearly 3 miles wide. The sea glowed with strange blue light beneath the surface. And then something emerged. A structure. Metallic. Smooth.
Impossible.
It rose from the ocean without a single splash, as if gravity itself obeyed it. The object was enormous, larger than any aircraft carrier ever built. People across the eastern coastline watched live broadcasts in horror as the black structure hovered above the Atlantic.
No engines. No winds.
No visible weapons. Then every screen on Earth turned white. Phones. Televisions. Billboards. Laptop monitor. Even old security cameras. A symbol appeared. 3 circles inside a triangle. A voice followed. Cold. Mechanical. Emotionless. Civilization designation. Humanity. You occupy classified territory. You will surrender all military assets immediately. Resistance will result in extinction. The transmission ended. Silence swallowed the world. For several seconds nobody spoke. Then the internet exploded. News anchors panicked on live television. Governments issued emergency statements. Religious leaders declared prophecies fulfilled. Financial markets crashed so hard that trading systems shut down automatically. But inside the White House Situation Room, President Eleanor Ward focused on one line from the alien message. All military assets. She looked toward Admiral Hayes. What do they know about us? Hayes answered carefully. Enough to fear our weapons. Hours later, another message arrived. This time it was targeted directly at every military command center on Earth. A countdown appeared. 72 hours. Under it were coordinates. The coordinates pointed toward naval bases. Pearl Harbor. Norfolk. San Diego. Yokosuka. Portsmouth. The aliens wanted the world's fleets surrendered. Immediately. Inside the Pentagon, arguments erupted. We can't fight something that crosses galaxies. If they wanted us dead, we'd already be dead. Maybe surrender buys time. Or maybe surrender guarantees slavery. Meanwhile, American naval commanders prepared for the worst. At Naval Station Norfolk, Captain Marcus Reed walked through the massive steel corridors of the USS Liberty, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier scheduled for decommission in 2 years. The Liberty was old. Scarred. Heavy. But to its crew, she was family. A young sailor approached Reed nervously. "Sir, do you think they'll attack?" Reed looked out across the harbor. Destroyers floated silently in the dark water. Submarines rested beneath the surface. Thousands of sailors waited for orders. He answered without hesitation. They already did. Far above Earth, hidden behind the moon, the alien command vessel monitored human activity. Supreme Commander Viereck studied holographic reports from conquered civilizations. Most species surrendered within hours. Some resisted briefly. None lasted long. Humanity appeared primitive by comparison. Chemical rockets. Ballistic weapons. Metal warships floating on water. Primitive. Viereck observed footage of American aircraft carriers. The alien officers around him laughed. They still use oceans for military projection. Barbaric. Why preserve such outdated vessels?
Barric remainat calm.
Primitive species are often emotionally attached to obsolete weapons. Another officer tilted its narrow head. Should we destroy them first? Vieric considered it. Yes. Break their symbols before their spirit. The order spread through the alien fleet. Target Earth's naval forces, especially the American carriers, because intelligence suggested something unique about them. Unlike most nations, the United States had built its global power around naval dominance. Carrier groups, submarines, logistics fleets. The ocean was America's bloodstream. Destroy the ships, and perhaps humanity would surrender without a fight. It seemed logical. It also became the greatest mistake in the history of the galaxy. 20 hours into the countdown, strange drones descended from orbit. Cities watched in fear as silver triangular machines floated silently over harbors. In Norfolk, alarms screamed across the docks. Unknown aerial contacts. Hundreds inbound. Anti-air defenses locked onto targets. Then every weapon system shut down. The drones emitted invisible pulses that disabled electronics instantly. Jets died on runways. Radars failed. Communications flickered. One drone hovered directly above the USS Liberty. Its underside opened. A beam of blue energy descended onto the carrier. Metal groaned. The ship shook violently. Sailors stumbled across the deck. Captain Reed grabbed a railing. What the hell are they doing? An engineer shouted from a nearby station. They're cutting into the hull. The drone fired again. A massive scar ripped across the carrier's flight deck. Jets exploded. Steel twisted like paper. The alien drones transmitted a final message. Surrender your naval assets. Further resistance will be punished. Then they left. Not because they feared retaliation. Because they believed the lesson had been delivered. But as smoke rose from damaged American ships, something unexpected happened. The sailors did not panic. They became angry. Very angry. Across military bases worldwide, footage of burning carriers spread through encrypted networks. Marines clenched their fists. Pilots cursed. Veterans stared silently at screens. In bars, homes, and barracks, one phrase repeated over and over. They touched our boats. The sentence sounded almost ridiculous. Simple. Childish. But inside American military culture, it meant something deeper. An insult. A challenge. A declaration of war. At 2:03 a.m., President Ward addressed the world. She stood behind the podium with exhaustion in her eyes. The United States did not seek this conflict. But tonight, foreign forces attacked our sailors in our waters. She paused. Humanity will not surrender. In orbit above Earth, the alien fleet prepared for compliance. They expected negotiations. Fear. Submission. Instead, hidden beneath the oceans of the world, nuclear submarines began moving silently into attack positions. And for the first time in centuries, the United States Navy prepared for total war. The aliens controlled orbit. That much became painfully obvious within the first 24 hours. Every satellite launched against them vanished. Every fighter squadron sent toward the hovering ships disappeared in seconds. Human missiles never even reached their targets. Invisible defense systems vaporized them before impact. Military analysts across the globe reached the same conclusion. Traditional warfare was impossible. Earth could not challenge a civilization capable of interstellar travel. But deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, Commander Olivia Grant disagreed. The USS Georgia drifted silently nearly 600 feet below the surface. Inside the submarine, red emergency lighting illuminated tense faces. Sailors whispered reports while sonar operators monitored the ocean above. Commander Grant studied the tactical display. Alien vessels floated across the Atlantic in a massive blockade formation. They own the skies, her executive officer muttered. Grant nodded. Good thing we are not in the sky. Unlike aircraft, submarines had survived the first alien strike surprisingly well. The invaders relied heavily on electromagnetic disruption systems that devastated surface electronics. But submarines were different. Shielded. Hidden. Designed specifically to survive nuclear war. The aliens underestimated them. That error would soon cost lives. At Naval Command in Colorado, military strategists worked around the clock. General Daniel Ross stood before a holographic display filled with alien movement patterns. "They're focusing on visible assets," he explained. "Ships, air bases, cities." An intelligence officer frowned. "So what's our advantage?" Ross smiled grimly. "They can't hit what they can't find." Across the globe, submarines disappeared into deep water. American, British, French, Russian, Chinese. For the first time in modern history, rival navies quietly cooperated. Because extinction erased politics. The alien fleet meanwhile prepared Phase 2. Supreme Commander Vierik viewed humanity as unstable but predictable. Destroy symbols. Demonstrate superiority. Force surrender. Standard conquest doctrine. Yet one detail continued bothering him. Human naval forces were not responding normally. Where were their surviving ships? Why had communication traffic vanished? And why were thermal anomalies appearing across Earth's oceans? An alien science officer stepped forward. "We believe the humans are hiding military vessels underwater."
Barrick blinked slowly.
"Underwater?" "Yes, Commander." The officer displayed images of submarines. Primitive steel cylinders armed with nuclear missiles. The alien command chamber erupted in amusement. They bury themselves in liquid. How inefficient. They fight like frightened animals. Can these vessels threaten orbit? Directly.
No.
Indirectly. Another pause. They possess nuclear weapons. Silence filled the chamber. Even advanced civilizations respected nuclear fire. Primitive. Dirty. But devastating. Vierik issued new orders. Locate and destroy all underwater vessels. The hunt began immediately. Alien drones plunged into Earth's oceans. Massive scanning beams swept across the water. But Earth's oceans were enormous. Chaotic. Noisy. And humanity had spent generations mastering underwater warfare. Commander Grant listened carefully as sonar pulses echoed through the dark sea. "Alien drones searching grid pattern," the operator whispered. Grant leaned forward. "Maintain silence." The USS Georgia drifted motionless.
No engines.
Minimal power. Like a steel predator waiting in darkness. Then sonar detected something new. A massive object entering the water. Grant's eyes narrowed. Depth. Descending rapidly. The alien machine appeared larger than a destroyer. Smooth. Bioluminescent. Deadly. It moved through the ocean without propellers. Without sound. The crew watched in disbelief. Orders, Grant stared at the tactical screen. Every instinct screamed caution. But another thought overpowered fear. If they did nothing, humanity died slowly. If they fought, maybe Earth survived. Prepare torpedoes. The room froze. "You think those things will work?" Grant answered calmly. "There's one way to find out." The submarine turned silently. Targeting systems locked onto the alien vessel. A young weapons officer swallowed hard. Torpedoes ready. Grant inhaled slowly. Fire. 2 torpedoes launched into darkness. The submarine shook gently. Everyone waited. Seconds passed. Then the ocean exploded. A shockwave slammed into the USS Georgia. Lights flickered. Sailors grabbed equipment to stay upright. The sonar operator stared at his screen. Direct hit. Nobody spoke. Then another voice shouted. "The target is breaking apart." Inside the alien vessel, alarm screamed. Water flooded advanced compartments. Systems failed catastrophically. The alien crew had never experienced kinetic underwater weapons before. They were prepared for plasma, radiation, energy warfare, not high-speed explosives ripping metal apart underwater. The vessel imploded. Commander Grant stared at the debris field in disbelief. "We got them." Word spread rapidly through human command networks. Alien vessel destroyed by submarine attack. Humanity finally had proof. The invaders could bleed. Inside the alien flagship, Vierik received the battle report. At first he assumed translation error. A primitive underwater vessel destroyed advanced Imperial technology?
Impossible.
Yet sensor recordings confirmed it. The humans had adapted instantly. Worse, more submarines were moving into attack positions globally. The oceans were becoming hostile territory. For the first time during the invasion, Vierik felt uncertainty. On Earth, however, uncertainty transformed into hope. Television broadcasts replayed military statements repeatedly. Enemy vessel destroyed. Crowds erupted in cheers. Sailors celebrated in hidden submarine compartments. Memes flooded the internet. One image spread faster than all others. It showed an American submarine beneath the ocean with bold white text above it. You touched the boats. Now the boats are angry. The joke traveled across the planet. Even exhausted soldiers laughed. Because humor was humanity's favorite weapon against fear. But beneath the laughter, something dangerous was growing. Confidence. And confidence made humans terrifying. Within 48 hours, coordinated submarine attacks erupted worldwide. Alien drones vanished beneath the Pacific. Orbital support craft exploded near coastlines. Supply vessels disappeared mysteriously. The oceans had become a battlefield. One the aliens did not understand. And humanity was only getting started. Supreme Commander Vierik no longer viewed humanity as primitive. Primitive species did not adapt this quickly. Primitive species did not counter superior technology within days. Most importantly, primitive species did not attack while outmatched. Yet humans kept fighting. Relentlessly. Across the world, alien operations slowed as underwater attacks intensified.
Cargo transports vanished.
Recon drones disappeared. Entire search teams failed to return. The oceans themselves seemed hostile. Vierik stood inside the command chamber observing Earth below. Blue. Beautiful. Violent. We underestimated them, one officer admitted.
Barrick answered coldly. No.
We underestimated their persistence. He enlarged a region along the eastern United States. Norfolk, the largest naval base on Earth. Even after the first strikes, surviving American vessels continued regrouping there. Repair crews worked non-stop. Shipyards rebuilt damaged carriers. Destroyers armed themselves for combat. The Americans were preparing something. Vierik decided to end it personally.
Deploy orbital siege fleet.
Destroy Norfolk completely. Hours later, civilians along the Virginia coastline looked upward in horror. Alien warships descended through cloud cover like falling moons. Massive. Black. Silent. Emergency sirens screamed across the city. Military personnel rushed into defensive positions. At Naval Station Norfolk, Captain Marcus Reed walked across the battered deck of the USS Liberty. The carrier still carried scars from the first attack. Sections of the flight deck remained twisted. Burn marks covered the hull. Yet sailors kept repairing her. Because Americans did not abandon carriers easily. A communications officer ran toward Reed. Sir, orbital fleet inbound. How many? The officer swallowed. All of them. Above the harbor, alien vessels positioned themselves like executioners. Then came the message. Humanity has resisted lawful occupation. Naval installation designated Norfolk will now be eliminated. Thousands of civilians attempted evacuation. Traffic jammed highways. Helicopters filled the sky. Fear spread rapidly. But inside military command centers, something else happened. Calm. General Ross watched tactical projections carefully. This is it, he said. If we fail here, they own the coast. An officer looked confused. With what exactly are we supposed to stop them? Ross smiled slightly. Everything we've got. The first alien strike hit at noon. A beam of white energy crashed into the harbor. Water vaporized instantly. Shockwaves shattered windows across the city. Several destroyers disappeared in explosions of steam and fire. Then humanity answered. Missiles launched from hidden silos. Fighter jets emerged from underground hangars. Railguns opened fire from coastal batteries. Most attacks failed. Alien shields absorbed the impacts easily. But not all of them. One railgun round pierced a smaller escort ship. The alien craft spiraled into the ocean. Cheers erupted across military frequencies. The battle intensified. Explosions shook the coastline. Alien drones swarmed through the sky. American anti-air batteries fired non-stop. Smoke covered Norfolk Harbor. Then the submarines arrived. From beneath the Atlantic, dozens of vessels emerged into attack range simultaneously. American submarines, British submarines, French submarines, even Russian attack submarines joined the assault. The oceans erupted with torpedo launches. Alien ships detected the incoming weapons too late. Massive explosions tore through several lower vessels hovering close to the water. One crashed directly into Chesapeake Bay. Another exploded midair. Burning debris rained across the ocean. Inside the alien flagship, alarm screamed continuously. Multiple shield failures. Subsurface attacks increasing. Human vessels surrounding battle zone. Vieric's expression darkened. How many submarines do they possess? The answer stunned everyone. Unknown. Human naval doctrine intentionally hid exact submarine numbers. The aliens suddenly realized they had entered a battlefield where the enemy remained invisible. And invisible enemies created fear. Captain Reed watched the chaos from the USS Liberty. Jets roared from nearby runways despite heavy bombardment. Missiles streaked through smoke-filled skies. Sailors loaded weapons with frantic speed. Then Reed received unexpected orders. Liberty is cleared for launch operations. He stared at the radio operator. The deck is damaged. Command says use it anyway. Reed looked across the scarred flight deck. Crews worked desperately to clear debris. The carrier shook from distant explosions. A younger officer approached nervously. "Sir, can she still do it?" Reed smiled proudly. "She's American." Minutes later, the USS Liberty launched fighters directly into combat. The damaged carrier became a symbol instantly. A wounded ship refusing to die. Television drones captured the moment live. Jets screamed into the sky while fires burned across the deck. Around the world, people watched in awe. Human morale surged. The aliens noticed too. Vieric finally understood his mistake. The ships themselves were not the true source of American strength. It was what they represented. Resolve. Identity. Defiance. Destroying the carriers had not broken humanity. It had united them. And united humans were catastrophically dangerous. The battle reached its climax at sunset. An enormous alien dreadnought descended toward the harbor. Larger than any previous vessel. Its weapons glowed with terrifying energy. Military analysts realized immediately what it meant. Final strike. If the dreadnought fired, Norfolk would vanish. General Ross issued one final order. All units engage. Everything attacked simultaneously.
Missiles.
Jets. Railguns. Submarines. The sky became fire. Most weapons failed. But the endless assault overloaded sections of the dreadnought shields. Commander Grant aboard the USS Georgia saw the opening. Target exposed. Distance optimal. She took a breath. Launch nuclear torpedo. Silence filled the submarine. Everyone understood the risk. If this failed, humanity might lose Earth. The torpedo launched. It raced upward through dark water. Alien sensors detected it seconds before impact. Too late. The Atlantic Ocean became a sun. A colossal explosion erupted beneath the dreadnought. Water rose thousands of feet into the air. Shockwaves shattered windows across entire states. Then the alien ship cracked apart. Slowly. Violently. The dreadnought exploded over Norfolk Harbor. Human forces erupted in celebration. Across Earth, billions watched the impossible happen. The invaders were losing. And for the first time since the invasion began, the aliens felt fear. Fear spread through the alien fleet faster than any human weapon. Not fear of destruction. Fear of unpredictability. Humanity refused to behave logically. Every strategic model predicted surrender after orbital superiority was established. Yet humans escalated. Every loss only made them more aggressive. Worse, Earth's nations had stopped fighting each other. Old rivalries vanished almost overnight. Military data flowed freely across former enemies. American engineers worked beside Chinese scientists. Russian submarines escorted British carriers. For the first time in modern history, humanity operated as a single species. And that terrified the invaders. Inside the alien flagship, Supreme Commander Vierik reviewed catastrophic reports. 7 capital ships destroyed. 32 support vessels missing. Oceanic operations collapsing. Human resistance increasing daily. An officer stepped forward carefully. "Commander, perhaps negotiations are advisable." Vierik turned slowly. "We do not negotiate with primitives." The officer hesitated. "Respectfully, Commander, primitives should not be winning." Silence consumed the chamber. Vierik hated the truth because it was undeniable. Humanity was adapting faster than imperial doctrine could respond. Every battle taught them something new. Every defeat improved their tactics. And humans possessed one dangerous advantage no simulation predicted. They were emotionally insane. A species driven by anger, loyalty, humor, revenge, and stubbornness should not have survived evolution. Yet somehow it had. On Earth, military factories operated non-stop. Civilian industries converted into wartime production overnight. Car manufacturers built drones. Shipyards produced autonomous submarines. Tech companies designed anti-alien targeting systems. Even civilians joined the war effort. Fishermen monitored coastlines. Gamers helped analyze combat patterns. Hackers attacked alien communication frequencies. The internet became a battlefield. And humanity weaponized creativity at terrifying speed. At Area 51, hidden research teams examined captured alien technology recovered from destroyed ships. Dr. Lena Morales stood over a glowing alien power core. "Can we use it?" a military officer asked. Morales grinned. "We already are." Human scientists achieved breakthroughs within days. Not because humans were smarter. Because humans were reckless. Alien civilizations advanced carefully over centuries. Humans skipped safety protocols constantly. If something exploded, they learned from it. Then built a bigger version. That mentality horrified alien analysts. Meanwhile, deep in the Pacific Ocean, a classified American project awakened. The USS Titan. Officially, it did not exist. A next-generation experimental carrier platform hidden beneath layers of military secrecy. Nuclear-powered. Railgun-armed. Designed for future wars, humanity never expected to fight this soon. Captain Marcus Reed received transfer orders personally. When he first saw the Titan rising from hidden ocean docks, he stared speechlessly. The vessel looked less like a ship and more like a floating fortress. Massive electromagnetic cannons lined the deck. Advanced stealth systems distorted radar. Drone launch bays covered its sides. "This thing is insane," Reed whispered. An engineer nearby laughed. "Welcome to America." The Titan became the centerpiece of humanity's counteroffensive. Not because it was invincible, but because it represented something uniquely human. If threatened, humans innovated violently. The counterattack began 3 days later. Human forces launched simultaneous strikes across multiple oceans. Submarines targeted supply lines. Stealth bombers attacked orbital support relays. Captured alien technology-powered experimental weapons. For the first time, alien fleets lost strategic initiative. Vierik watched battle reports worsen hourly. "What are the humans doing?" he demanded. No coherent pattern detected. That answer disturbed him most.
Humans fought chaotically.
Improvisationally. They ignored tactical elegance entirely. One moment they used conventional missiles. The next they attached explosives to fishing boats. Some attacks were brilliant. Others borderline suicidal. All of them forced adaptation. And adaptation consumed time. Time humanity used effectively. Near Hawaii, the alien fleet attempted another carrier strike. This time the USS Titan waited. Alien commanders targeted it immediately. Dozens of attack drones descended from orbit. Then the Titan opened fire. Electromagnetic railguns thundered across the ocean.
Hypersonic projectile shattered alien formation instantly.
The drones never reached attack range. Fighter swarms launched from the carrier simultaneously. Human pilots moved unpredictably through combat. Aggressive. Wild. Unstable. Alien tactical systems struggled to calculate behavior driven partly by instinct and emotion. Captain Reed stood on the bridge watching explosions light the sky. A communications officer laughed suddenly. "Sir, social media just gave the Titan a nickname." Reed raised an eyebrow. "What now?" "The ocean's middle finger." Even Reed laughed. Because somehow humanity remained absurd during apocalypse. That absurdity became psychological warfare. Alien intercepts captured human soldiers joking during combat. Sailors blasting rock music before attacks. Pilots painting shark mouths on fighters. Marines challenging aliens to fistfights over open radio. The invaders could not comprehend it. Why would a species joke while facing extinction? The answer was simple. Because humans used humor to dominate fear. And a fearless species was almost impossible to conquer. As battles intensified, alien casualties climbed rapidly. Then Earth received shocking news. A transmission. Not from the invaders. From another alien civilization. The message was brief. "We have observed your resistance." No species has ever fought the Empire this effectively. Another line followed. "The Empire fears your oceans." Human commanders exchanged confused looks. Then came the final sentence. "And now, so do we." Humanity suddenly realized the truth. The galaxy had been watching. Watching Earth survive against impossible odds. Watching a supposedly primitive species bloody an empire. Watching humans become something dangerous. Not prey. Predators. And all because the invaders made one catastrophic error. They touched America's boats. Not with speeches. Not with diplomacy. But with fire. Massive alien fleets gathered in orbit for one final assault.
Suprema Commande Barrick abandonat gradual cum castan tirelli.
Earth would either submit immediately, or burn. Across the planet, emergency alerts activated. Citizens rushed into shelters. Military forces prepared defensive lines. Human commanders understood the truth. This battle would decide extinction or survival. At Pearl Harbor, the USS Titan waited at the center of an enormous multinational fleet. American carriers. Japanese destroyers. British submarines. Australian cruisers. French missile frigates. Dozens of nations stood together. Captain Marcus Reed looked across the crowded harbor. Ships stretched toward the horizon. For the first time in history, humanity's navies operated under one command. No politics.
No borders.
Only survival. Inside the Titan's command center, tension filled the air. Radar officers tracked descending alien formations. Thousands of enemy vessels entered atmosphere simultaneously. The sky darkened. "They're committing everything," an officer whispered. Reed nodded. "So are we." Far above Earth, Viereck studied the human fleet carefully. Despite months of war, the humans still centered their defense around oceans. Ships. Carriers. Submarines. Even now they protected those vessels obsessively. Viereck finally understood why. The ships were not merely weapons. They were symbols of humanity's refusal to stay isolated. Human civilization spread across oceans long before it reached space. The seas connected continents. Protected trade. Projected power. Created empires. To humans, naval dominance represented freedom itself. And free species fought hardest. Viereck opened a direct transmission to Earth. His image appeared across global screens. "We offered surrender. You answered with violence. You are irrational creatures." President Eleanor Ward appeared moments later. Humanity watched silently. Ward looked exhausted, but determined. "You attacked our people," she answered. "You threatened our world. And you touched our boats." For several seconds, neither leader spoke. Then Viereck asked a question historians would remember forever. "Why do your vessels matter so much?" Ward smiled slightly. "Because every sailor knows something your empire forgot." "What?" "That freedom survives when ordinary people choose to defend each other." The transmission ended. Then the battle began. Alien warships descended through clouds in endless numbers. Human fleets opened fire immediately.
Missile strict skyward.
Railguns thundered. Fighter jets screamed across the atmosphere. The Pacific Ocean became a war zone stretching hundreds of miles. Explosions illuminated the horizon like artificial suns. The USS Titan spearheaded the defense. Its advanced cannons hammered alien formations relentlessly. Drone swarms attacked from every direction. Submarines launched coordinated torpedo strikes beneath the fleet. Humanity fought with everything it possessed. But the alien numbers were overwhelming. One by one, ships began falling. A Japanese destroyer exploded protecting civilian transports. A British submarine sacrificed itself destroying an alien carrier. American fighters rammed damaged enemy craft intentionally. Casualties mounted terribly. Yet humans refused retreat. Captain Reed watched burning debris fall into the ocean. Around him, exhausted sailors continued loading weapons. An officer approached. "Sir, if they break through orbital range, we lose." Reed knew it. Human fleets could damage the invaders, but not stop the full armada, unless they changed the rules. Suddenly, Commander Olivia Grant appeared on secure communications from the USS Georgia. "We have a solution." Reed frowned. "What kind of solution?" Grant answered quietly. "The nuclear kind." Human scientists had discovered something critical about alien technology. Their shield systems reacted poorly to synchronized underwater nuclear detonations. If enough warheads exploded beneath the fleet simultaneously, the resulting electromagnetic chaos could disable orbital systems temporarily. But deploying that many submarines into strike range was nearly suicidal. Grant already understood. "So do the crews," she said. Across the Pacific, submarines moved silently into position. American, Russian, Chinese, Indian, dozens of vessels. Former rivals united beneath the sea. Viereck detected unusual underwater movement immediately. "What are the humans doing?" No one answered. Because no alien strategist believed a species would willingly place nuclear weapons beneath its own battlefield. Humanity would. Captain Reed received the final transmission from Grant. "If this works." Reed interrupted gently. "It'll work." Grant smiled faintly. "See you on the other side." The submarines launched everything. Hundreds of nuclear torpedoes surged upward simultaneously. Alien sensors erupted with warnings. Too many targets. Too close. Viereck's eyes widened. "Retreat the fleet." Too late. The Pacific Ocean exploded. The largest underwater detonation event in human history shattered the sea. Gigantic pillars of water erupted miles into the sky. Electromagnetic shockwaves ripped through alien shield networks. Orbital systems failed instantly. Human forces attacked without hesitation. Railguns pierced exposed hulls. Missiles slammed into powerless ships. Fighters swarmed crippled vessels.
Alien formation collapsed.
One after another, massive warships burned across Earth's atmosphere. Supreme Commander Viereck watched disaster unfold around him. The Empire had conquered hundreds of civilizations. None fought like this. None sacrificed like this. None weaponized stubbornness itself. His flagship shook violently as human projectiles tore through damaged shields. Officers screamed. Systems failed. Viereck stared at Earth one final time. A primitive world. Chaotic. Divided. Emotionally unstable. And utterly unconquerable. The flagship exploded moments later. By sunrise, the surviving alien fleet retreated from Earth orbit. Humanity had won. Not cleanly. Not cheaply. But decisively. Cities mourned millions of dead. Oceans burned with wreckage. Entire fleets vanished beneath the waves. Yet Earth remained free. Months later, reconstruction began. Nations continued cooperating. Alien technology transformed science forever. And humanity's reputation spread rapidly through the galaxy. Other civilizations whispered about Earth cautiously. Not because humans were the strongest species. Not because they possessed superior technology. But because humans reacted to threats differently. Most civilizations protected themselves. Humans protected each other. Especially sailors. Years later, a recovered alien database revealed the Empire's final military assessment of Earth. The translated document became legendary. It contained only one warning. Do not engage humanity in naval conflict. Another line followed beneath it. Under no circumstances should Imperial personnel attack American aircraft carriers. And finally, the sentence that echoed across both Earth and the stars. They touched the boats. They should not have touched the boats.